Every year on the channel, we redraft the top 5 selections from the last 5 years, and this year's no different. So let's kick things off by going back to 2017. I think easily the most hyped up draft of the last 5 years. Between viral sensation Lonzo Ball, Duke star Jason Tatum, and what appeared to be a can't-miss #1 prospect in Markelle Fultz, the excitement was through the roof. Excitement that would die rather quickly, with several players really disappointing to begin their career, most notably Ball and Fultz. But if we redrafted tomorrow, how different would it be? After a trade up from number 3, the Philadelphia 76ers hold the first overall pick in the draft and don't hesitate to take Jason Tatum. It's kind of crazy looking back at how he was viewed as a prospect. The fact that there was a real debate of him or Josh Jackson, or the fact that almost everyone was giving the edge to Lonzo Ball, is kind of crazy. Tatum quickly showed he was going to be one of the best players from this class, averaging a super efficient 15 points a game through his first 2 seasons. After that, he would take the jump to star status and hasn't looked back. He's coming off a season where he led the Boston Celtics to the NBA Finals, averaging 27, 8, and 4. Considering his ability both on and off the ball, his ability defensively, and his growth as a playmaker, I think it's pretty safe to say he's on pace to become one, if not the top player in the league. Joining the 76ers definitely creates an interesting what if. I have a feeling the whole Ben Simmons saga would have probably never gone down, so how far do you think a Tatum, Simmons, and B trio would have gone in the past couple seasons? The second overall pick belongs to the Lakers, and here there's a couple options, but I think it's pretty clear there's one that sticks out from the rest, and that's Donovan Mitchell. He's gone on to become one of the best 2 guards in the league, coming off a season averaging 26, 5, and 4. This one also creates an interesting what if. As you probably remember, the player originally selected with this second overall pick, Lonzo Ball, was sent to New Orleans in the Anthony Davis trade. If Mitchell was the selection, I think there's 2 possibilities we could have seen. Either because of the immediate success of Mitchell, they decided not to make the Davis trade considering he was also just a year away from becoming a free agent, or we still see the trade go down with Kyle Kuzma taking the place of Lonzo Ball in that original trade package. It's hard to say if that still would have been enough to get the deal done, but man would it have been fun to see a Mitchell, Davis, LeBron Big 3. The third overall pick belongs to the Celtics, and there's a clear top player on the board they don't hesitate to grab, Bam Adebayo. They definitely don't benefit from a redraft, missing out on Jason Tatum, but they still grab an amazing young player. Adebayo has quickly risen up the NBA big ranks. He's become one of the best defenders in the league. It seems inevitable a Defensive Player of the Year award is coming his way at some point in the future. He's one of the premier playmakers at his position, and he's coming off a year averaging 19, 10, and 3. Today's video is sponsored by Surfshark VPN. Now, what is a VPN? A VPN is a virtual private network that keeps you safe and private by covering up like a mask everything you do online. With just one click, it allows you to virtually travel the world. Now, why is this helpful? Well, when you're traveling or even when you're at home, it gives you an extra layer of internet security, but there's also a lot more use cases you can use on a daily basis. With Surfshark, you can still get the amazing deals on websites like Amazon and AliExpress, even if they're blocked in your country or when you're traveling. You can easily access and unblock streaming platforms. I use this all the time. By changing your location, you can actually get a way different catalog of the top movies and shows typically unavailable to you. The use cases don't stop there, but if you guys are interested, click the link in the description and try out Surfshark today. When you click that link in the description and use promo code JIMMER when you sign up, they're going to give you 83% off and an extra 3 months free. Thank you Surfshark for sponsoring today's video. The fourth overall pick belongs to the Suns, who originally went with Josh Jackson, and I think it's safe to say, with him bouncing in and out of the league, that's not who they go with here. Instead, they grabbed Kentucky point guard, originally drafted by the Sacramento Kings, De'Aaron Fox. Fox is a player I struggle to rank in today's game. He's coming off a season averaging 23, 6, and 4, and not that we can blame him, but he's yet to experience any kind of team success or prove to be a reliable 3-point shooter. But here at 4, I think he's the clear top player on the board. Now the real question is, how would this move affect the Suns' recent success, considering with Fox, Chris Paul would have never became a Sun? The 5th overall pick is in the hands of the Sacramento Kings, and this one's tough. It really comes down to Lonzo Ball or OG Anunoby. I think it's close, closer than most probably, but I'm going to give the slight edge to Anunoby as he's in the middle of ascending into one of the better wings in the league. Coming off a season averaging 17 points on decent efficiency, while also being a really solid defender on the other end. Now we go to 2018, which has probably gone on to become the best class of the last 5 years based on everything we know right now. The first overall pick belonged to the Suns, who infamously passed on one of the best prospects to ever grace the NBA draft in favor of Arizona star freshman center DeAndre Ayton. They don't take a second to blink and draft Luka Doncic, a player that just a few years into his NBA career has become a top 5 player in the league. He's coming off a season averaging 28, 9, and 9. While Ayton's become an instrumental part of the Suns' success, I really think this team would already have a title since 2018 if they just made the obvious decision on draft night. The second overall pick belonged to the Sacramento Kings, who made an even more infamous selection, deciding to take Marvin Bagley, who they would eventually trade to the Pistons for a bag of chips, one selection directly ahead of Luka. Here the decision is once again made for them. They land their franchise point guard in the original 5th overall pick of the draft, Trae Young. Coming off a season averaging 28 points and 10 assists on super solid efficiency, it's safe to say he's now one of the top point guards in the league. I'm really excited to see him play alongside DeJounte Murray this season. If he buys into playing more off ball, I think we'll really start to see him garner the respect he probably deserves. The 3rd overall pick in the draft belongs to the Dallas Mavericks, who go with a 3rd straight guard, this time the original 11th overall pick in the draft, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Shai's been in a tough situation as part of a tanking Thunder team, but he's just a year removed from averaging 24 points on 51-42 splits. While he's a great young player that in most scenarios the Mavericks would be thrilled to have, definitely not in this scenario, missing out on Luka Doncic. After the 3rd pick, things get a little less clear. The 4th overall pick belongs to the Grizzlies, and there's a couple options here, but ultimately, they go with DeAndre Ayton. I don't think Ayton projects to see much more improvement from this point on like some of the other players from this class, but he's already become one of the better two-way bigs in the league. He's coming off a year averaging 17 and 10, and I think would be a really interesting fit alongside this current Grizzlies core with John Morant and Desmond Bane, but it's hard to say whether they would be significantly better with Ayton opposed to their original selection, Jaren Jackson Jr. The Hawks are here at 5, and there's a lot of options here, but I think it really comes down to Jaren Jackson Jr., who we just mentioned, or Mikal Bridges. While I think most would take Bridges this upcoming season, considering his age and his lack of upside, I'm going to give the slight edge to Jaren Jackson. He struggled to stay healthy, but I really think another year removed from injury this upcoming season, he has a chance to break out into that extremely versatile star two-way big we thought he would be early on in his career. Now we go to 2019, where the number 1 pick is in the hands of the New Orleans Pelicans. I think this is the one I flip-flop on the most. If we knew Zion wasn't an injury risk for the rest of his career, he's the selection, but considering the injuries he's already dealt with and I think we can project going forward, I've got to give it to John Morant. Morant this past season ran away with most improved, taking the leap to superstar status, averaging 27, 7, and 6, on the best efficiency of his career. I think this one's interesting because if you insert him into this current Pelicans group with Ingram, McCollum, Herb Jones, and Jonas Valanciunas, they would probably be one of the better teams in the West. The 2nd overall pick belongs to the Grizzlies, and with John Morant off the board, they go Zion Williamson. As we said, there is a lot of risk that comes along with him, but we also know that when he's been out there as early as his 2nd season in the league, he was an all-NBA player. I think you have to take the risk here. 3 is where the debates really start to get interesting. The Knicks are here, and there's tons of names you could throw out. 2 that really sit above the rest in my opinion, but for right now, I'm going to lean in favor of Darius Garland. Garland is trending to becoming one of the top point guards in the league. This past season, he averaged 22 points and 9 assists on incredible efficiency. While the defense will never be there, that kind of playmaking and shot creation is hard to come by, and I really think he'd be the perfect player for the Knicks to get behind. The 4th overall pick belongs to the Hawks, and this one again is tough. I think it comes down to RJ Barrett, Tyler Hero, and the player I ultimately ended up going with, Jordan Poole. It's close, opinions are split on these guys, but I truly think Jordan Poole has the highest ceiling of the 3. That's not even just projecting out, we've seen it before. He averaged 19 points on solid efficiency this past season, but we know that doesn't tell the full story, playing on a championship level team like the Warriors. We saw Jordan Poole go on a 14-game stretch in the middle of the season when opportunity cleared up, where he averaged 27 points, shooting 44% from 3 on over 10 attempts a game. That sold me on Poole and his potential as a number 1 option. I'm tempted to have him even higher, but for now this is good. Lastly, we've got the 5th overall pick, which belongs to the Cavaliers. It's between Hero and RJ. I have my concerns about Barrett raising his volume. When we've seen it, it hasn't been great. I don't have those concerns with Hero, but considering the rest of their games, if Barrett can reach his offensive potential, I think he'd be a no-brainer, so for now, I'm going to go with him, but this one can change very quickly. Now we jump to 2020, where I think the order is extremely clear. The Timberwolves are at 1, they originally went with Anthony Edwards. I think they stick with that selection. I think he's the only player from this class that really has all-NBA first-team level potential, and I'm excited to see what he can do with this revamped Timberwolves team next season. The 2nd overall pick is in the hands of the Warriors, who originally went with James Wiseman. No way they do that again. This time, they grab LaMelo Ball. Think about how crazy it would have been to see Curry and Klay on the same roster as LaMelo and Jordan Poole, both still on their rookie contracts. The 3rd overall pick is in the hands of the Hornets, and I think this is where the debates start. If you're really sold on the potential of Tyrese Maxey, I don't mind the argument for him, but I think it's Tyrese Halliburton. It doesn't get talked about enough just how impressive he was this past season once getting traded to Indiana. He averaged 18 points and 10 assists, shooting with 50, 40, 85 splits, and we all know what he can do defensively. I'm not sure I ever see him as a number 2 option on a championship caliber team, but I've got a strong feeling he's going to be a key contributor to one at some point in his career. The 4th overall pick belongs to the Bulls, who originally went with Patrick Williams, who's had his moments, but definitely hasn't wowed, and he's coming off an injury that cut his season short. Instead, they grabbed Tyrese Maxey. In just his 2nd season, he put up a super efficient 18 points a game. I think it's safe to say he's just scratching the surface of what he's capable of as a scorer. Lastly, we've got the Cavaliers, who are going to go with Desmond Bane. He was originally the last pick of the 1st round, but since then has proven to be one of the league's elite 3-point threats, and was a major reason why the Grizzlies were such a surprise this past season. He averaged 18 points, shooting 44% from 3 on over 6 attempts a game. Then we go to last year's 2021 NBA draft, where I don't think there's too much to be said, as I don't think the order has really changed that much, especially at the top. The number 1 pick is the Pistons. They still go Cade Cunningham. I'm fine with arguments for other players, but with his progression throughout the season, my opinions on his future really haven't changed since the draft. The 2nd overall pick to the Rockets was Jalen Green, and while it was a roller coaster of a rookie season, I still have him here. It was rough to say the least for most of the year, but with what we saw at the end of the season, he truly has the chance to be a 30-point-a-game scorer, honestly, in the somewhat near future, something that is extremely hard to come by. He's definitely not the safest selection, but I don't think that's what the Rockets are looking for. Evan Mobley is still going to go to the Cavaliers at 3. After his rookie season, he's already become one of the league's elite defenders. As his versatility improves as a scorer, he's going to be a serious problem. The Raptors still go Scotty Barnes at 4. There was a lot of criticism for their decision to go in favor of Barnes over Suggs on draft night, a decision that was clearly the right one. I was super high on him considering what he was as a playmaker and defender, but I've been shocked to see just how prolific of a scorer he is this early on into his career. It's hard to say where his ceiling really is, but I'm excited to find out. The only pick that's going to be changing is going to be the Magic at 5, who originally got Jalen Suggs, easily the biggest disappointment as things stand right now from the draft. Instead, they're going to get Franz Wagner, who they actually still originally got just a few picks later. For someone that was deemed such a raw prospect, you have to be excited about a rookie season where he averaged 15 on 47-35 splits. But that's the video, guys. You guys tell me your thoughts in the comments below. If you liked the video, smash the like button, smash the subscribe button, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.